Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. Pillow Talk is where my wife and I, my professor wife and I, get together and we just try to have smart conversations with other intelligent black people out here. How you doing today, babe?
I am very sleepy today. It's the middle of the night, boys.
Yeah. Well, Donald
What's
Trump is
up?
awake, I'm sure. He's
Donald
up.
Trump is up.
Yeah. I'm looking here. I'm looking up the news, and it looks like he thinks he's going to be arrested, or he's claiming that. And there's like all this conversation on the internet about Trump possibly going to jail. You know, some say it's about time. Some say that it's
a total
extreme
witch hunt.
injustice.
It's a total witch hunt against Donald Trump.
You think it's a witch hunt?
I do think it's a witch hunt. I'm not saying that I'm against it.
Well, maybe
But I think that it is
maybe
a
he's
witch
a
hunt.
witch.
It's a witch hunt.
Well,
They're coming after him. I don't think it's a good look for a former president to be sent to jail anyway. Like, just to have him, like, just the image, because you know I'm all about subconscious mind and the visuals, and as much I am not a Trump fan.
Right.
So, but it's just the idea that someone who was president is now going to be arrested. Are they going to give him the perp walk like they give black people?
You know what?
Where they just
I
arrest
think
him and like manhandle him in front of his kids and his mom. And
I can
his
see
wife.
them. I can see them making it into a spectacle,
Okay.
and I do understand where you're coming from because, you know, when you get in the habit of locking up, you know, former presidents, then
Boy.
what's going to happen when the Republicans take over and they get power? Well, then they're going to find their least favorite Democrat. They maybe go to Hunter Biden's house where all the crack apparently is stored.
Well, hold on. Do they arrest people for crack or what?
I mean, but you know what the thing was with
don't
Hunter.
do that
But with
anymore.
Hunter Biden, there was like all this evidence that he was selling access to his father
Yeah, with the Russian
to foreign governments and all that. I mean,
No, not foreign governments, to Russian
right, operatives and everything.
operatives and everything.
Yeah.
he was doing. Well,
You
that was what we know.
can't trust the crackhead in your family. Dave Chappelle showed us that with Pookie and the white powder lips. You can't trust the family crackhead. Seriously, what do y'all think? I mean, really, I mean, is that not a security risk, having a crackhead in the family?
Well, I think the problem was his laptops. Remember, he kept leaving his laptops with the Best Buy workers. He's like dropping his laptop off with the Geek Squad and like never returning for them. Like they were like opening up and looking at all of this information that was. They were like, dude, you're gonna want to come and get this.
Well, crackheads are just not the most reliable people.
Well, I just think on some level, maybe he wants to get caught. It's a cry for help.
You know what? It could be a cry for help, and they need to help him by locking him up. You know, well, if he was black, if he had been black, he'd be up under the jail.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if they because they've now changed after the crack era. Because we definitely have a heroin issue. We have a substance abuse issue going on right now. That's not crack though. And it's affecting the suburbs. It's affecting a lot of white people.
White people.
And so
White people.
the approach to this has changed now. So they have what we call drug courts. They don't even put you in jail anymore.
Right.
They send you through drug court, and you have to go to rehab, and it's way more sensitive and way more therapeutic and rehabilitative focus. So I don't know if they put you in jail anymore.
I'm not saying that he should go to jail for the crack. I'm saying he should go to jail because he probably sold national security secrets, and he sold. I mean, again, he's a crackhead, so crackheads will sell things to get money. And I bet you that that's the thing. The thing about it, the reason that you got to be real careful about locking up a former president or locking up a political opponent is because everybody's hands are dirty. Everybody's got blood on their hands. Everybody's got skeletons in their closet. Everybody's got bodies that are buried. So when you say, I'm going to go dig up your skeletons, well, then somebody else says, okay, well, cool. When we get power, we're going to dig up yours.
What's funny is that remember when Bill Clinton was getting indicted and all the stuff going on, the people who were really, it was a right-wing group that was after him, and they identified themselves. They was like, yes, we are after you, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And all of those people that were like doing the witch hunt on Clinton, they were all just as guilty. They had a lot of skeletons in their closet.
Well, they all do, and I think that most people, while you might agree that Trump should be arrested and everything, and I think it's over this whole payment to Stormy Daniels. Apparently, he paid
Stormy Daniels came back up again.
Yeah,
right?
he paid. Apparently, he paid some porn star a bunch of money or something. And I mean, I don't really think that it's unethical. Like, people have sex and then someone pays them. I just really don't think.
Yeah, but where'd that money come from? Wasn't that the problem? The money came from. It didn't come from his pockets. He used campaign funds.
Is that what he did?
To pay off a hooker.
Let me see. I'm gonna Google
that ain't
search.
Good.
Does anybody know in the chat why is Trump being arrested?
Is it because he lied? Is it on a technicality?
Let's see here. I'm going to read. I'm looking at NBC News. NBC News says, a former president has never been prosecuted in the history of the United States.
See, that's
as early as this week, this may change. Donald Trump, who faces possible criminal charges in New York related to hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels, maintains he has committed no crime, and his attorneys argue he was the victim of extortion. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office, run by Democrat Alvin Bragg, isn't commenting, and no charges have been announced. But if, in fact, Trump is indicted, it would be a remarkable moment in the country's history in a case with a legal underpinning that appears far from open and shut. The possible crime is factually, the case is straightforward. Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, paid Daniels $130,000 just before the 2016 election. In Cohen's version of events, this was done at the direction of his boss because Daniels was on the cusp of going public about an affair she alleges she had with Trump in 2006. That's the part that's weird to me, is I just don't understand why anybody would be surprised that Donald Trump had an affair anyway.
Well, I don't think it would make okay, Stormy Daniels goes public about this affair. Those Trump supporters, they still voting for him. That's what you would think. He'd get more votes.
Well, I think that this arrest is going to get him a lot of attention. The only way they could stop Trump from having a legitimate shot to become president again is if they literally make it illegal for him to run.
Okay, so maybe that's what this is. This is like, whoa, because he's been campaigning. Like, he still thinks he's president. He never conceded, right? Or
he's got this plane called Air Trump One. I don't know if we got a picture of it anywhere, but he's got this plane. He calls his plane Air Trump One, and he tells his staff to call him Mr. President.
Yeah, like, so literally. He's still claiming. He's like, that seat is empty. That's my seat right there in the Oval Office.
Yeah, like he's literally got this plane. I'm gonna try to find a picture. If you need my help finding a picture, Quincy, let me know. I can send you one. But yeah, he on this plane, he gives out these press junkets and tells people, there's his Trump plane, right? And by the way, he's had this plane with the word Trump on the side of it for probably 40 years now.
Wait, it ain't the same plane, because I wouldn't be traveling in an airplane that's 40 years old.
I'm getting my pilot's license. I've been studying for my pilot's license, and let me tell you, you'd be amazed at how you could fly a plane from the 1950s or 60s and have it be pretty safe. And the reason I say that is because no, really, the FAA really regulates maintenance on airplanes. Like, you can't just put a piece of junk in it. It ain't like a car where people be driving their cars around with like 3 wheels and stuff.
Yeah, but I got a rolling style. I can't have no janky.
Yeah.
I ain't got an airplane. You're in a metal tube in the sky. I ain't playing around with no 40-year-old plane.
I get it. Yeah, so Trump, but Trump has Trump Force One. He still tells his staff to call him Mr. President. It seems like he's still committed to this idea that he's president. I mean, like, Madam Therapist.
He still thinks
Madam Therapist, I want to ask you, so do you think that there's like if he was your client, like what would you say to him? If he went to coaching with Dr. Alicia and said, I need therapy, what would you say to him about this idea that he still believes he's president?
I wouldn't even listen. I don't even think someone like Trump would even go to therapy, because he probably would think that everything is fine and it's everybody else. It's not him. So he's not somebody that would even come in my office. I say he comes to my office because he's mandated. He's forced to come to my office, and I would have to talk to him. I would have to talk to him about how he feels about these allegations. And the fact that he's going to jail, I'd be talking to him about fear. I'd be talking to him about feelings of shame and all the things that he probably wouldn't even want to talk to me about. So it's interesting. So if someone comes to me and they don't want to talk about their feelings, then I would have to figure out what else they want to talk about. You can't talk about things if people aren't ready.
Okay.
You have to connect with them first.
Interesting. By the way, guys, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. She sees clients and families on a regular basis and couples. So if you'd like to go take a look at what she does, visit coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com.
And I only meet with people that want to meet with me.
Well,
they really want to work on something. I don't want to force nobody in. Nobody force anybody in my office.
Donald Trump is he's so funny. Would you define him as a narcissist?
Oh my God.
How many of you, give me a yes in the chat if you think Donald Trump is a narcissist.
You look narcissist up in the dictionary. It's a picture of Donald Trump right there.
Ouch.
Be based on what we see.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's always, here's the thing, right? I remember, when that time where Kanye West called me during the All Black National Convention, and we were talking a lot.
Speaking of narcissists.
And this was, right. And you know what? When I was talking to Kanye, he literally interrupted the call. He said, wait a minute, that's Trump on the other line.
It was Trump calling
him. Him and Trump were talking, and then a week later, that was when Kanye went out to visit Trump. And apparently they had a blow up because both of them thought they were running for president. and Trump got pissed. Trump was like, because my buddy Jamal Montgomery was there, and Jamal said that he said they were having like this buddy, like just two really arrogant guys like getting together and having it out. And so I think Kanye said something like, I'd like for you to be my running mate. And Trump was like, you mean you want to be my running mate? And Kanye's like, no, I'd like for you to be my running mate. And then that's when Trump was like, tell him he can't win. And he turns to Nick Fuentes, who apparently Nick is trending on Twitter right now for being anti-Semitic or so, I don't know. And he tells Nick, he's like, you're a smart guy. Tell him he can't win. And Doc was telling me this story, and I was like, see, this is why I'm so glad I didn't have to be in stupid spaces like that. Because I think that with guys like that, not to diss Kanye, I like Kanye more than Trump. Kanye's my brother. But talking to Kanye is a little bit tough because there's a real heavy sense of self-importance, and that's what made it tough for us to communicate. It's like I don't know if I can talk to you if you just.
He was really, I think listen, I think Kanye West was, first of all, I think he really admires you boys. I really
don't say that. Don't say that. I don't want to even get into that because I don't care if he admires me.
Yeah,
that's not even the issue. That's not why we were talking. I don't need to be loved and admired. I wanted to.
I'm just giving my assessment of what I think, and I even think to this day, he probably still follows you and still watches your videos. I got a sense of admiration for you.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. I don't. I literally care nothing about that because when you're a black man and you're over 45, your goal is not. You're not like a teenage girl. You don't need to be loved and all this. It's like getting the work done, right?
Okay,
I took the time. Remember, I was very busy when he called. The only reason I took the time to talk to him was because I said, maybe there's something we can get done for the people. And that didn't happen. So at that point, I became uninterested. I didn't want to. It's like, what's the point in talking? I mean, we're going to sell more Yeezy shoes like that. It's not going to make the world a better place, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I got the sense that I'm going to keep going with my assessment because, I had the front row seat of a lot of those conversations. And I think there was a sense of admiration, and there was a sense like he looked up to you a little bit. I kind of felt that he respected everything you had to say. He digested all of the stuff. You were talking to him about the Black Core 3 and all of those things, and he was writing it down. He was paying attention. He was actually vibing. The two of you were really vibing on those deep thoughts that you had, and he got it. He got it and critiqued it in a way where it actually became better. I mean, I just remember those things that so there was a true sense of true connection that was there. Now I think it just kind of fell apart, which is
the thing about it is I wasn't trying to have a love fest. It wasn't like, because I've had that. I've had that happen before. You know, when I talked to Farrakhan, we talked for 2 hours, and it was a great conversation. When I never talked to Will Smith, but I talked to his brother Harry. We had hours of conversations. You know, when Ice Cube and I talked for a long time, you know, it was like he understood what we were doing and he gets it. Mm-hmm. So I've had those conversations before. You know, Dame Dash was, you know, me and him became like brothers. You know, and I like Dame. I'll always respect him. You know, and it's really, at the end of the day, it's not. To me, for men, it's not about, for me as a man anyway, my perspective is I'm not really there to get you to like me. I'm really there because it's like, can we figure out how to solve a problem together? Because that's what our job is as men, you know. And I didn't have any issue with Kanye. I just kind of feel like a lot of this entertainment stuff is kind of silly. I think that it makes it definitely, I think, unfortunately, it can give an awkward perspective on reality, because you've had all this money validating your worldview, no matter how weird it is. So Trump, let's go back to Trump. Let's not talk about Ye or me and Ye. That's kind of weird for me. But with Trump, what I see is a guy similar to Kanye, where the reason he feels like he's so important is because the world has been validating him for the last 50 years. Like Trump, the more crazy he behaves, the more money he gets. This man has had a private jet since the 1970s.
Half the world's been validating him. There's a lot of people that haven't.
That's true, but you know what? Before he became political, a lot of the Democrats that condemn Trump now,
people were
they rocked with him. Al Sharpton, there's 1,000 pictures with him and Sharpton, him and Jesse Jackson, him and Diddy. So a lot of these people now, they hide behind this little Democratic Party cloak, you know, that black people are trained to get underneath, like we're little kids or something. But you know, and I don't get that either. You know, to me, if I rock with you before I find out who you're going to vote for, I should rock with you after. You know, and that really speaks to black people. There you go. There's Trump and Sharpton. I mean, and there's probably a bunch of other pictures. Like Quincy found that picture in a second.
Trump got really weird with this whole like birther movement with Barack Obama. I thought that was like really odd. Yep. You know, he just wouldn't get off it. And it's the same thing about him not conceding the election. It's like, get off it. Like, there are Republicans that said, you lost, boy. You lost. You need to like step back and go ahead and just admit that you've lost, and stop telling people that the election was stolen. There's no evidence of that. So, I mean, it just like he wouldn't get off it, just like he wouldn't get off this birther thing with Barack Obama. So, you know, it's like he's kind of stuck in a certain area, and you start to wonder, like, you know, what's happening? What's happening with you?
Well, some of it, I think, gets to the point where people think it's all just racial. Like they'll just say, "Oh, you hate black people" or whatever. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Donald Trump loves black people, but there are plenty of black people he's very close friends with, and there are plenty of black people he hates. You know, and one of the things that I think that we got to get away from is this idea that somehow if somebody's a black liberal and they don't like that person, it must be because they're black. They use racism as a way to control us. Like they'll say, "Oh, well, if they don't support Joe Biden, then you ain't black." Or if they don't like this black person who works for Joe Biden, then they're a racist. No, if that person was a Republican like them, they'd probably like them. So it's not about race. It's about political ideology. Like there are lots of people on the right who will gladly invite black people to their Trump rally or their Proud Boys rally and feed them barbecue, hang out with them, be buddies with them. But the key idea is what do you believe in? You know, so if you are pro-life and you believe in conservative values, then you're going to be welcome into that space, you know. And I think that we got to stop letting these politicians hijack race as they're like, for example, when they talk about the January 6th riot and they say, "Oh, it was a racist riot." No, it wasn't racist. It was just Republicans against Democrats, Trump supporters against Biden supporters. That's what I saw. I saw black people in the crowd, and it wasn't like they were being lynched and attacked and shot at. No, they were part of the movement. You know, I know lots of black people who are Trump supporters, and I think that's okay. Like, I think we live in a stupid world where people just are like, "Oh, well, if you're not a Democrat, you can't be black." Well, shut up, idiot. No, I'm free. I'm a free black man. I can believe whatever I want to believe. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, well, I think Trump is definitely a nationalist, right? So he just believes in America first. Like, let's just take care of America. Let's not worry about domestic so much. And I think it's this what is this globalist? So it's the nationalist against the globalist, and a lot of them are just like, no, we're into free trade. I mean, you were talking about social issues that separate Democrats from Republicans, but I'm talking more about fiscal. And that's probably the thrust of the difference between, what Donald Trump was talking about. He was definitely a nationalist, and he was up against the Clintons because they're big time globalist.
Yeah,
and a little bit, anti-American in some of their policies.
Well, you know what? It's I don't really think the country was better off with Trump as president, though. I feel like he's not. I mean, I'm just like, is that the best you can come up with? I think that Trump, and then you replace Trump with this old man who literally looks like he can't remember what his wife's name on a Tuesday. But Biden is old and tired and decrepit. It's like weekend at Bernie's.
When he fell off that bike.
It's like weekend at Bernie's with Biden. Like they literally, I don't know if anybody else agrees with this, but literally it's like that movie Weekend at Bernie's where they're hoisting up the dead body and making it look like he's alive. Like I feel like with Biden, that's what it's crazy to me, and it just really speaks to the ridiculousness of American politics. And one thing about Trump that's interesting too is if you go back and you look at images of him, say back in the 1970s when he was kind of this young, hot billionaire, just making all this money and kicking ass and taking names, this man has always been corrupt. The question of Trump being corrupt it was resolved before he was born because his father was part of the corruption. His father, Fred, I read their whole bio. I read their family story going all the way back to 1913. And I had a sense of awe. I had admiration for it, but I also saw the what you might...
The sinister side.
It was sinister, right? But because they're just New York hustlers. Like if you know people from New York, they just go get it. New Yorkers are I've lived in different parts of the country. I love my people in New York. Like when we go to Brooklyn and stuff, like our events sell out. And I know the personality is different. It's like if I go to LA, it's a different, when I spoke in South Central, it's a South Central personality. I go speak right. I go to Houston, I'm getting a little bit of H-Town, right? When I go to Brooklyn and Manhattan, like the people in New York just are survivors. They don't give a shit.
Well, they've been through a lot of stuff.
Right. They just because they know that the world does not care, but the world ain't gonna feel sorry for you. They like, okay, you got to go get it somehow. You're right. You got to get it. However, you got to get it.
I see what you mean.
Right. So when I met a lot of interesting New York characters that are very successful theoretically. I've been up close with people like Russell Simmons, who literally created a segment of the hip hop industry.
Successful. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wendy Williams, spent a lot of time with her.
Oh, that's right.
I was around Al Sharpton a lot, and I kind of got a chance to see how he moved. And I'm telling you, every New York character was interesting to me because they got an it factor. They can go in and just make lemonade out of lemons anywhere on earth. So you take a New Yorker out of New York and you put them like in Kentucky or Tennessee, they're gonna stand out because they just know how to hustle and make it happen, right?
I'll tell you one thing. My dad, he got a lot of students that were from New York, and he said they were his worst. They were his worst students. He was like, first of all, he said he just couldn't stand this, you know what I mean? He's like, oh my God. No. And every time they would say it, he would answer it. Yes, I think I do know what you mean. Just to get them out of that, you know what I mean? He's like, he could not stand those New York. But I will say, you mentioned something about Biden and we can.
Well, by the way, I like New Yorkers. Just so you know, that might be where we disagree. I think
I'm not speaking about myself. I'm just sharing a story.
Right.
They released them out. But anyway, I just want to say something about Biden. The thing with Biden is that, okay, weekend at Bernie's and everything, but I mean, some of the stuff he's done in office, I don't disagree with a lot of it. Like,
you talking about Trump or you talking about Biden? Oh, you talking about Biden's?
I'm talking about Biden's presidency.
I'm
looking. I'm a social worker. I am in favor of social programs. Thank you very much. We need to have safety nets and all of those things. And some of the things that Biden has done when he's in office, I cannot disagree with. I think about 98% of it. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, So he's not altogether bad. So I don't know who's if he is a weekend at Bernie situation. I don't know who's actually running things in his presidency. But I'm kind of in favor of a lot of what he's
Well,
been promoting.
I'll tell you what, he one benefit of Biden is that he does have political experience, and Washington's kind of its own animal. And if you don't know how to make it operate, like if you think you're coming in as an outsider to kind of change how things are done, that's usually not going to work. So if you look at the Trump presidency where he kind of came in and said, I'm going to go and drain the swamp and all this other stuff, you ain't draining that swamp. You have to learn how to swim in the swamp, which means you got to be a swamp creature, that's comfortable in the swamp. And I think Hillary Clinton is comfortable in the swamp. Biden is comfortable in the swamp. I don't think Obama was comfortable in the swamp. I think that's what made it hard.
Comfortable.
He eventually got comfortable, right? Right, because Biden Obama is, in my view, more of a chameleon. Like he knows how to kind of adjust, right? And
tricky, ain't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I feel like honestly, when Hillary ran, I felt like it was her turn. In fact, it was really.
She would have.
It was really Hillary's turn in 08. In 08, it was Hillary's turn, and Obama disrupted that, and she accepted it and whatever. And then she couldn't run in 2012 because he was just going to run for re-election. And then 2016 was really Hillary's turn, and that was her last turn. So in a way, I felt real bad for her. Honestly,
yeah.
I felt
maybe Barack Obama his last couple of years kind of ruined it for her. Like people were just angry at that point. They were just angry.
Well, he told a lot of lies, and that's the thing about politics that's terrible is you got to tell a lot of lies, and I think Trump is a liar too. I think that what's probably occurring, and I think the reason Trump announced his arrest is because I think he's trying to garner and rally support. Mm-hmm. When you lock up somebody who's the leader of a movement, you make them into a martyr.
He's
if you're not careful.
Up his base. They're going to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, remember, he says now illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan district attorney's office, that's an example again of Trump sort of getting people to question and not trust American institutions. He says, which has allowed new records to be sent in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros, indicate that with no crime being able to be proven and based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back. So,
ooh, honey, and let me tell you, guess what my prediction is?
What's your prediction?
He's not going to go to jail.
You don't think so?
Yeah. He's been able to, I don't know, Trump has been able to just he's squishy. He's been able to
Teflon Donald.
He's been able to squirm his way out of everything. And I think he gets a good team behind him. They're going to find a technicality. Maybe I'll eat my words one day. I don't think I will, but I might. I'm open for that. But I really don't think anything's going to happen to him.
I don't know. I don't have a prediction, but what I will say is that it's fascinating to me if they did lock Trump up. What's fascinating is that he's been committing crimes for 50 years. When Trump was able, remember, the most interesting thing about Trump's whole career, in my opinion, was when he was 28 years old and he was able to raise $400 million to rebuild a hotel in New York City. And think about this, 1970s, you're 28 years old, you raised $400 million. That's pretty impressive. At that time, you couldn't get major construction projects done in New York City without the support of the mafia. Right. And I think that's his connection with Al Sharpton. I think Sharpton also, that's documented. He had to deal with the mafia a little bit. In fact, there was that mob boss, Michael, what's his face? I forgot his name, but he was a former high up in the mafia. And he talked about Sharpton on one episode. And he was like, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, that racket he's got going on with the black community, it looks like it's working out for him. He's like, yeah, I'm sure he's making lots of money from it or whatever. Right. He just kind of talked about it in a matter of fact kind of way. But it was like, he was like, yeah, he said, we had Sharpton involved with something, him and Don King, and then some FBI informants came in and Sharpton tried to sell drugs to him or connect him with a drug dealer or something like that. Ooh. And then, it's all documented. It's on Brian Gumbel and HBO. HBO did some sort of thing on it where they showed the old clip and then Sharpton got real upset when he saw the video. But the point of the matter, though, is it's real interesting because a lot of these folks, have been doing dirty stuff for a long time. I mean, it's not a coincidence Trump is deep with the Russians. Mm-hmm. He's done major financial dealings with the Russians, which makes him a security threat, right? We talk about Hunter Biden and the whole crack thing. But yeah, that's Michael. I don't remember his name though, but Michael what? Freeze's Michael Freeze's son. Yeah. But he was like a big mafia guy, and he literally like did a whole little thing on Sharpton. He just laid it out there. He didn't even say it like, I got this smoking gun and I'm trying to take Sharpton down. He's just like, yeah, I knew Al. We would see each other a lot and da 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 da. And then he did this thing where he tried to sell drugs to the FBI agent, and next thing you know, he had to become an informant. And then he's like, yeah, he's got this whole racket with the black community. I think it really works out well for him. It's just like he was talking about it like a mafia conversation, like he's an earner, he's making money, it was hilarious. But so a lot of these people, I think, it's like, it's amazing that they were able to avoid jail for this long.
Well, the thing is that you're either in the in group or you're in the out group. Okay, and clearly, Trump is in the out group. So the in group people, they're protected as long as they stay on code. As long as they follow the script and they don't get off script, they're good. But if you're off script, you're going to end up like Trump tomorrow.
That is
on
so
the
true.
first, wait, isn't that something? The very first day of spring? Ooh, is it ritual? I see ritual behind it, but I don't want to go there on our pillow talk. But yeah, I do see there's there's the other side of this is the very first day of spring, which is like when.
So what is the first day of spring? Like
it's the spring equinox.
Is Tuesday the first day of spring when he's going to be arrested?
March 21st, right? The first day of spring. So that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's today, the 20th, and so the 21st, which is interesting.
Okay, yeah, and that's a video of Trump, of them putting up police barricades, apparently,
because they're anticipating some protest. Or
it's gonna get heated. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of arresting presidents because that's the first step toward instability in the society, and America.
Instability. I mean, that is like not favorable for the country as a whole.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah. Instability. Right. That's what I mean. Like we take peaceful transitions of power for granted, but you have countries where elections don't get solved peacefully.
Nigeria just had an election, and I mean it's just
people getting killed.
Play around there. Yeah. You're gonna end up like.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, his name was Michael Francis. Thank you, Jay Lilly. I'm looking at Jay Lilly's comment. By the way, I can see y'all's comments in the chat. Lioness Den is here. See. Lioness Den, is that Jade Arundel? Is she Lioness Den, or is she? I know she's Lioness Crowned.
She's crowned.
Either way,
she's crowned the lioness. This one is in the den.
Oh, so lioness in the lioness is in the den.
In the den.
Well, Lioness Den made a lot of comments here, and I want to say thank you for participating in the chat and the conversation. I see you, sister. I see, or brother. Lioness.
Lioness
that's
a female. To be a lady.
Got it. Okay, got it. All right. So anyway, guys. This is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. Next time we'll talk about a topic that's more related to therapy and stuff and relationships, which is your area. But today,
you know what? This is fun talking about.
This was fun.
Like
this was definitely fun. And by the way, Dr. Alicia, her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's a licensed therapist and full professor of social work. She sees clients on a regular basis. So if you'd like to learn more about what she does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, I have a new book. I'll just hold it up. It's The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is now on the bestsellers list at Amazon. So if you'd like to go take a look at that, you can visit my website, boycewatkins.com. I also have a whole series called Black American Money. And you see this book is a little thicker. And there's actually a part 1, part 2, and part 3. So feel free to go to Amazon if you want to go stalk some of the stuff that's that I put out there.
Awesome. So, awesome. Congratulations to you boys. I have to say congratulations every time.
Thank you.
Bestseller. What?
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, it means a lot, because I wanted my business to be independent. I've never had a book deal, never had a radio deal, never had a TV deal, but I've sold like over 100,000 books. And it was because we just sort of did it like grassroots, bootstrap. And it allowed us to have freedom. Like we don't have to worry about some corporation telling us what to do or some some entity controlling us. Like, you know, it's like we just kind of do.
Are you in the in group or the out group?
Oh, I'm definitely. I've been in the
You
out
group,
group. I left it. I left the village and set up a little outpost out in the desert somewhere. Made
You living off the grid?
Built my own little town off the grid.
Off the grid.
My own water supply and everything. We getting it done because I believe black people. I believe we can build. You know, we just got to put our mind to it. So, anyway, guys, it was great to see you. Thank you all very, very much, and thank you, babe. It was a great conversation.
I'm going to bed.